So what's interesting is the tweet, and we've got it here from Karoline Leavitt, the Whitehouse Press Secretary. And this really kicks someone in the well, you know what we mean. Karoline says,
Nigel Cecil, calling things out.
Hello, Chuckabat is welcome. Thank you for joining me, moi, at short notice almost, because this is a special Nigel Cecil video, because we've just heard the news about Tim Davie, the Director General of the BBC, and Deborah Turness, the CEO of News, have offered their resignation. They've resigned their positions following the scandal, though some might say it's not a scandal, of the BBC trumping Trump. We featured it in our video 5 days ago. The BBC joined together two bits of a speech Donald Trump had made almost an hour apart to come up with an interpretation of the truth. Our experience is you never do that, and certainly when it comes to politicians, because politicians, you can start a war by getting the words wrong. So you must never, ever edit anything together just because you think, well, that's what they were trying to say. It's totally not allowed, not in any democracy, especially the BBC is the state broadcaster. The government are ultimately responsible, especially as the BBC Charter says right at its beginning. The BBC has to be impartial, especially, of course, when it broadcasts the news. Some of you leapt into us getting in touch with our email address after that last video 5 days ago and said, well, of course it's all right to do it because that's what Donald Trump meant. No, we echo again. It's not all right to do it. No broadcaster who wants to be credible should be joining bits of information together, and we're repeating just to put across what they think someone wanted to say. Not all that long ago, others were saying Gbnews were insignificant. They should be ignored. They should be ignored. The former Conservative politician for our constituency, yes, it's your constituency, Paul Maynard, in a public meeting said, Gbnews, we're not interested in Gbnews. And look where they are now. The Westminster bubble will be saying, Gbnews, it's biased. It's a right-wing conspiracy. But for many, especially those outside the London bubble, it seems to be equally and fairly trying to present the news. All right, they're not very accommodating to some of what others would call left-wing wokerati, but they do invite others on who give a different point of view. And they do seem to be somewhat transparently credible compared, well, with the BBC. So what's interesting is the tweet, and we've got it here from Karoline Leavitt, the Whitehouse Press Secretary. And this really kicks someone in the well, you know what we mean. Karoline says, BBC News is dying because they are anti-Trump fake news. They're anti-Trump, and it's fake news. But the ending of this tweet for Gbnews is rather telling, because they've said everyone should watch Gbnews. Go on. Here's my question to you. What do you think? Do let us know by getting in touch at our usual email address. But once again, we're rather shocked that it's happened so quickly. Some are saying that Tim Davie should not have resigned. They can't possibly know everything. But there's been a feeling for many years now that the BBC have got an agenda that isn't impartial. And now members of the public are starting to openly say, we're not going to pay our BBC licence because it's not just news. It seems to be a bias that pervades all sorts of areas of the BBC. A state broadcaster supposed to be impartial. So, as we just mentioned, please get in touch and let us know what you think. We'd love to be able to respond to you and reflect your views in any upcoming video, which we present equally and fairly, we hope, on your behalf, and also, of course, inputting show business ideas.
Nigel Cecil, calling things out.